Hi, this is Kevin Trainer, and welcome to my tutorial. I'm recording this for my web development using application framework course in September of 2018, and we're currently working on the coding assignment that we're working on is the Django Girls tutorial extensions. And a couple of issues have come up. We just wrapped up online lab hours, and I was talking to a couple of students, and we did a couple of things. One is it looked like a couple of things really need to be clarified. And then the other was students really needed the opportunity to kind of maybe see this tutorial and then to either fix their code or configure their project appropriately. Okay, so I've extended the deadline by 1 day. So the Django Girls tutorial assignment that was originally due on the 19th is now due on the 20th. Okay, we're going to be talking about the assignment on the 19th, though. We're still going to have our class on the 19th, but you'll have until the 20th at 6:30 p.m. to submit it. Here's some of the things that came up. So I've got my solution to the Django Girls extensions here. And one issue that has come up a couple times is does the folder name, the directory name for the overall project, does that have to match this kind of internal directory name? Okay, and this becomes important because in the Django Girls tutorial, they kind of tell you to have this inner directory be called my site, whereas the outer directory, theirs is called Django Girls, and ours is called something a lot more complex than that includes our name and all that kind of stuff. So you certainly can configure your project so that the name of this inner directory matches the name of the outer directory. But you may see when you look at my solutions that my solutions don't match that. Okay, and I just want to show you how I can get around that. Okay, and that has to do with the fact that I have configured the Django project to show the framework where my settings file is. So how do we find that out? Well, if we go up to PyCharm and we go to Preferences, the one thing we've been spending a lot of time on is going to this project settings, and then the interpreter settings, okay, and picking the proper proper virtual environment. Okay, now the other thing you have to make sure that is properly configured is once you have your virtual environment set, you want to go down to Languages and Frameworks, and then Django. And you want to make sure that Enable Django Support has been checked. Okay. You want to make sure that the Django project root is that high-level directory that your project is in. And you can configure this settings setting such that you point to whatever you want to point to. So I pointed to, in my site, I pointed to settings.py. Okay, so even though that's not the default name, that took care of it. Okay, so that's that. Having done that, okay, I can go to Tools. Oh, I think I have to do one other thing. I probably also within this my site, if I go to the settings.py, I have to open that up. Oh, that isn't the settings.py. Oh, I opened the models. Settings.py. So let's look at that. Okay. Let's see. Did I change anything? WSGI application being my site WSGI application. I think that probably happened when I configured the settings setting. I don't know. Perhaps you have to come in here and change that. And of course, in here, it should be my site apps, my site config. Okay. So by changing those two things, you're able to make that work. All right. Now, I was talking to Roger, and he said, well, I still can't get that to run. And I said, well, how are you running it? And he said he was running it in a console. And I said, well, in this environment, the best way to run these things is to do the following thing. Go up to the menu and click on Tools. And then come down about halfway to Run Manage.py task. Okay. And this runs manage.py in your project directory using your virtual environment. So when you say run server, sorry, that's not what I wanted to do. When you click in here and say run server, it runs. Okay. And let me bring that down to here so you can see that that ran. Okay. So, do you need the configuration to be as complex as I'm doing? Well, I'm going to say no. Okay. Roger's argument is that the general convention is that the name of the outer directory and the name of this inner directory should match. That's not what the Django girls did, but that's basically the way that projects are generated out of PyCharm when you generate them there naturally. So if in fact you want to do that and not have to worry about the configuration, well then that's fine. But if you haven't been running manage.py in one of these manage.py windows, then I really think you ought to start. Okay, and again, let me, oh, it said that port was already in use. Sorry, that the reason that port's in use is that I never stopped it the last time. So I'm on a Mac. How do I stop the server? I already had a server up. Well, it's called PyCharm 3.6, and I stop it. Okay. So I was showing the server that was up from before, but I'll show it again. So again, come down here, PyCharm, go up to Tools, come down a little bit more than halfway, run manage.py.task. Okay, you can run anything in manage.py. You can do create super user. You can make migrations. You can migrate. You can do anything that you can run in manage.py. You can do at this command line, including run server. And there we go. And it's working just fine. Okay, now what's the second problem that people have been having, including me? Well, the Django girls, if we really followed their instructions, the version of Django that we would have been using, let me close this. The version of Django that we would have been using is they told us to come up with a file called requirements.txt, and this is where we documented the Django version. It's where you document the requirements, the package of requirements for your project more generally. So I'm going to open up, let me close all these windows, these are a little distracting. I'm going to open up requirements.txt, okay, and as you can see it says Django, and we have this tilde equal 2.0.6, and here's what tilde equal means. I want to get some version of Django 2.0. I don't want it to be any lower than 2.0.6. I'll take a higher version than 2.0.6 so long as it's a 2.0 version. I don't want a 2.1. Okay? And there's a way to use this code to generate a virtual environment that gets you the right version. Okay? All right. And there's a way to do that in Anaconda, and that's what we'll do. Okay. Now, I was really happy last week when I just took the newer version of Django at 2.1.1, and I did the Django Girls tutorial, and it ran just fine on Django 2.1.1. But when I was working on redoing the Django Girls extensions tutorial, when I got to changing, when I got to adding the login and the logout, which are part of the Django admin app, you know what? That got changed a lot in version 2.1. So this version that they told us, 2.0.6, what's good about using that, or this approximately 2.0.6, is that we can use the code from the Django Girls tutorial for login and logout without modification, because otherwise we have to search around the web and find out how it changed in 2.1 and how to patch up that code. Now, certain people actually went out and did that. I know Roger did it. I'm proud of him for that, but I didn't do it. Okay, I said, oh, that's why the Django Girls are on 2.0.6. Let's create a virtual environment that is actually like they told us to. So how do you do that? Okay, so I'm gonna shrink this, and I'm going to go over to Anaconda Navigator. Okay. So Anaconda Navigator is a way to build virtual environments, right? And all we've really done so far is to build a virtual environment using the packages that are part of the whole Anaconda infrastructure. Okay, so then the question comes up, what if we need older packages than that? Okay, because the package that we get when we ask for Django is 2.1.1 right now. Can we get an earlier version? Well, not easily. Okay, so let's look at that. So we go to environments. Okay, and I'm just going to create a new environment. Go down to the bottom and click on create, and the new environment name, let's call this E4 Django Girls extensions. Okay. Well, you know what? This is going to be the beginning of, yeah, we'll just call it E4 Django Girls extensions. That's what we're going to call it right now. Okay, then we click on create, and we have to wait a while for it to go and fetch the packages and put it all together. And you'll remember from the last time we did this, you don't get, you do not get Django, right? All right, so here we are. We've gotten it back. We have certificates. We have a lot of different things in here. We don't have Django. Okay, and if we go over and look for Django in the not installed dialog, go to search, Django 2.1.1. It's too late. It's too new. Okay. Okay, so we can't just pick from the easily available ones. Well, how do we do it? Well, let's go back to see what's installed. Okay. You will remember, okay, you will remember that, I don't know why we're not seeing installed, but we're not. So let's, oh, Django. Of course, there's nothing matching Django and install. That was the problem. Okay, so what we can do is we go to our environment here, E4 Django Girls extensions, and click on the triangle that comes at the end of the name. And now we can open a terminal. Okay, and what we do is we get out into a command terminal here, and we're using our virtual environment. We can see its name over there in the parentheses. Okay, and so how do we know what's installed? Well, one of the command line commands for Anaconda is conda list. This lists everything that's in the virtual environment. Okay, no Django. Okay, so how are we going to do this install out here manually? Well, we're going to use the pip installer. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to follow the recommendation that came from the Django Girls people. Is we're going to actually point the pip installer at that requirements.txt file. Well, how do we do that? Well, first of all, we need to make the current directory the one that our project's in. So let's do this. I'm going to say ls. Here are all my projects. Oh, mine's called Trainer Kevin Django Girls Tutorial Extensions. So I'm going to do a cd to that project. That's a lot. That did not work. Okay. Well, look, maybe it did. Let's do an ls. There we are. Yeah. So the current directory is not part of the prompt. So that is our our current directory is our project. And when I did an ls, now I see all the things that are in there, and there's requirements.txt. Well, what could we do? Well, we could say, let's say cat requirements.txt. Let's see what's in requirements.txt. There it is. Okay, so how do you use a pip to run to install the requirements in a requirements.txt file? Well, we say pip install -r. We're going to use the R option, and then say requirements.txt. Okay, so we're saying run pip do the install, and then to get the requirements out of that text file. So we hit enter, and it starts thinking, and there we go. And it's the usual complaint that it wants to give us a newer version of pip. I don't really care about that. But what I do care about is the version of Django that we want installed. I do see it set up here, successfully installed Django 2.0.8. So it got higher than 6, but it didn't go to any of the 2.1s. Okay? All right, that's what we wanted. Now if I say again, conda list, I'll get a list of everything that's out here. And there's my Django. And related things, setup tools is here. What else is here? Pytes is here. A couple of other things are here that were that come in with Django. Okay? Good. So that's installed. It's in the virtual environment. Great. So this should work just fine with should work fine with Django Girls tutorial. Should work fine with Django Girls extensions. Okay. So let's exit out of this window and close the window. Okay. Now let's look at what's in it. Do you see Django? No, I don't see Django either. Okay. So you can't see Django here. Now perhaps there's something to click on somewhere here where you can see it. Well, don't worry, there's a way to see it when we get over to PyCharm. So we want to go back to our PyCharm project, and we want it to say E for Django Girls extensions. Okay, so let's go do that. So I'm going to shrink that, come back to PyCharm. Okay, and then let's just go to preferences. The preferences we want here are the project ones and the project interpreter. Okay. And I have it's currently using E for Django Girls tutorial. I want E for Django Girls extensions. So how am I going to do that? Well, click on that. Okay, now on the left side in that panel, conda environment. Down here, the second of the bullet points, existing environment. Go to the ... And now you have to navigate to your virtual environment. On the Mac, here's how you do it. Under my username, I go down to Anaconda 3. And under there, I go to EMS. And under EMS, I look for E for Django Girls extensions. And under that, I go to bin. And I want to choose the shortcut to the Python interpreter, which is just called plain old Python. And that's it. So I say, okay. I'm willing to share it. So I say that. Now I say, okay. Okay, so when I do that, now here's where I get a list of everything that's in the virtual environment. And you go, Kevin, I still don't see Django there. I go, yeah, I don't. But look down here at the bottom. It took me a long time to remember where to find this. We have these two icons down here, and the left one has got the Anaconda logo on it. And we can use this to toggle between the things that came from Anaconda proper and the things that we manually installed. So we're currently looking at what came in with Anaconda proper, and then I click on it again, and here's the stuff that was manually installed. Okay, so Django 2.0.8, certificate, pip, version of pip, a version of Pytes, setup tools, and a version of wheel. We got all of those from our manual install. And again, once we're over here and we're looking at the environment, we can toggle on this Anaconda icon and flip between the things that came out of Anaconda's repository infrastructure, and then we click again and we see the things that we manually installed. The things that we manually install override the things that were installed from using the graphical tools. So this is just what we want, and we say OK, and it works just fine. Okay. Now the way you use this requirements.txt file is that you start to accumulate requirements. So as you begin to need other packages, you just keep adding them on. Okay, for right now, this is all we need. Okay. So with that, you won't have the problems with the log in and the log out. If in fact you let me show what happens when you use the wrong or use too new of a version. So let me go to preferences, and I had a virtual environment called what was it called? Conda environment existing. It was called nope, it's none of those. So let's go look for it. I think it was Django 2 projects. That was the one that I had you make way back when. So let's go to envs. Yeah, Django 2 development. This should have been called Django 2.1 development, but you live and learn. So I'm going to go to that and bin and down and find the Python shortcut right here, Python. Say OK. Say OK. And here we get our Django 2.1. And again, we can toggle on this all we want, but I don't think we're going to get anything. Yeah. Django 2.1 is over here. Django 2.1 is over here. We the lowest version of Django that we have is 2.1. Now, what exactly these two views represent, I don't know, to tell you the truth. But that's how you get to the other group of packages. So if we say OK with this, some things are going to break. Okay, so for instance, the login stuff is going to break. So if we go to views, the login views should not work right. Maybe it's if we go to URLs. We've got some things that are broken. I guarantee you that if I tried to run this, let me try to run this, certain things would go badly. So let's run this as it is. Run server. It breaks. Okay. So again, this is a perfectly good opportunity to go and learn how you have to change the code to make it work with Django 2.1. Or if you're not ready to do that, I know I wasn't, well then connect it with a virtual environment that's using something prior to Django 2.1, which is what we just did. All right, so these are all the things that have been kind of bothering people, and I I'm hoping that by watching this, you have been able to um, get get over some things that may have been getting you stuck. Looking forward to our class tomorrow night, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.